enterprise. Anyway, well, I have deep respect for Bob Parker because he's the one, and well, of course, the English language helped a lot because we all can understand what he's writing, whether we are Austrian, Chinese, or French. But everybody who followed what he did in the last 35 years, it's inevitable to see that he prefers a certain style, which is obviously, well, everybody knows about the Parker style. So he, on one hand, influenced the consumers, those who like that wines, because you always know if there's a high Parker rating, you can expect a certain style on a wine from a region. I think on the other hand, he also influenced the producers quite a lot, because everybody is looking for a better score, which is quite normal. Because on the other hand, he also influences the market, and that means the better score, the better price you can achieve. And that's, in my opinion, the biggest difference to all of us who are kind of mini Parkers or mini Parkers, or like Michel, he's one of the greatest experts, not only in French wines, or Bernard. But I think that's the manco if you're publishing more or less in French, not in English. You're not that visible for those who would like to hear you. It's the same for me. German is a language which is not that spread. So I think there's no need for a discussion for a successor, because there will be no other Parker, in my opinion. There will never be a person which will gain this influence again. And if there is one to come, which is probably as influential to the markets with his personal opinion, my estimation would be it will come from the Asian part of Europe, because everybody likes to listen to one from his own nation or his own sort of culture. So probably people from Austria are listening to me because I'm an Austrian, even if I'm talking about Bordeaux, yeah? Because I've got a certain credibility there. I'm working there for 25 years. People trust in my decision. So I would say if there's someone to come that's following the market, it should be a lady or a man from Asia. Yeah.
David?
It's a very interesting discussion. I think the thing that needs to be emphasised is how significant Parker has been in growing the whole fine wine market. Whether or not you like his tastes and his preferences, whether Wine Advocate or the Parker brand is on the wane, or whether, you know, all these discussions aside, what he's done over the last 20 years has been very important for all wine producers, because what he's done is he's given cash-rich, time-poor individuals, the sorts of people who are buying expensive wine, a helicopter ride to the top. So, for instance, if you're in a position where you have, you want to build a cellar, you've got lots of money, you haven't got a lot of knowledge about wine, having this illusory, though it may be, set of scores, ratings on wines, gives people a chance to assign confidence to those wines, and makes them prepared to spend lots of money on the highest rated wines. Without that scoring system, I don't think we'd have seen the growth in prices in fine wines that we've seen. Because without that scoring system, the people with the money wouldn't have the confidence to know that they're getting the best. A lot of the people who've got lots of money to spend on wine, they just want the best. They don't want the best value for money wines, they want the best wines. And a scoring system, such as Parker's, gives you a way of instantly spotting which the best wines are. Whether or not they really are the best wines is another matter of discussion. But then that means that more money coming into the whole fine wine market, though we may not like the way that fine wine prices have grown, it does mean that there's more money in the market. And because producers are making more money, they can invest more. And also it brings other producers into the game as well. Across the world, we see in terms of fine wine, we see across the world's wine regions, we've seen both a growth in prices of the wines, which as a consumer I don't like. I loved it when you could get Côte Rôtie for 15 euros a bottle, that was great. But that doesn't happen anymore. But what's happened is you've also seen a growth in the number of producers who are producing top quality wines. And I think that these days there are problems with the whole Parker influence issue. have some wine styles changed for the worse? That's an interesting question. But what's certainly true is that now, from the point of view of a wine lover, there is now much more and better wine available in the world, and I think that some of the responsibility for that is Robert Parker's. I think that brand Parker the trajectory is going down now. I think there's been too many mistakes. The J. Miller episode in Spain, calling 2003 Bordeaux, he got it completely wrong, I think. Things like that. Australia, he disastrous for Australian wine in America. He went up from big on the wrong sorts of Australian wines. Loads of people in America filled their cellars with these wines, and now they're realising they've fallen apart. So that there are problems with that. And I don't think that the team approach is going to have the same influence. Once Parker disappears off the scene, hopefully that won't be for a long time for the wine industry, that Team WA is never going to have the same influence. But what we're going to see now is the emergence of experts within a particular region. So I think that's the room now. There's never going to be another Parker, as Peter says, but what we will see is we'll see maybe one or two people for each region having being the go-to experts, say Alsace or Burgundy or Champagne. We're seeing that already with Champagne, actually. It's quite interesting. There are 2 or 3 people now who are very influential in Champagne, and that's quite interesting. The regional experts was the way forward.
Yes, it's quite difficult as fifth in rank to give an extra opinion on it, but I think Parker timed well the sale off of the Wine Advocate, because it really is the end of an era, and we should not forget that it's the era of Parker is also very much linked to Bordeaux, as already was said, because he was thrown out of the cellars in Burgundy already at the beginning, because the Burgundy producers they thought he didn't know nothing about Burgundy, and I think they were right. So it was very linked to Bordeaux and Rhône, and as Jamie said, I think the future is for people that are more specialized. It's impossible in the wine world today to have this general impact, and we cannot underestimate the impact of Robert Parker. It was very important, and it changed the wine world, and it changed the style of the wines, and even there are consultants. They have a contract to deliver a 95+ point wine to a producer, and if they don't get it, the contract is they don't get the money. So that's really the importance of the scores and the influence Robert Parker had. But also it's the end of an era now, and one Parker, I don't think we will get this. It will be more specialized, and people indeed writing about Champagne or Burgundy or whatever, they will get into the place. And of course you have to write in English to have an influence. Even if it's someone from Asia, if you want to have a global influence in your writing, it should be in English. I'm writing in Dutch, so I will never have this influence, but if you want to have this influence, it should be in English. That's the lingua franca of nowadays, and that's the only way, I think. With respect to the knowledge of all the others, because there's knowledge enough, but that's the language, I think.
Thank you, Ronald. Tian, le futur parquet, il va être chinois, non? Hein? Ce sera plus l'anglais mais le mandarin. Est-ce qu'il peut être chinois à ton avis? La star mondiale, en tout cas pour partie.
Je peux pas répondre. Je peux pas répondre.
Ah bah, un peu quand même. Hein. Bon, on va pas...
Parce que je n'ai pas fini le bouquin qui est sur Parker, qui est très intéressant, je pense. Et
est-ce qu'il a un pouvoir d'influence déjà?
Sûrement, parce que l'influence, il y a beaucoup de facteurs sur l'influence.